once you have edited a photo the way you want it and you want to share it with somebody either through email or through the web or through printing, you need to export the file as a JPEG. In order to do that, you want to click on File and click Export. Now you can see here I've already got some presets that I've created, but in this case what I want to do is walk through how to create a preset for email. So the first thing you want to do is click on the Export To and choose Email. And this will bring up specific settings to export a file for emailing. In this case, I've got a custom naming convention where it takes the initial name of the file that I already had and just tacks on a -email to it. That's really a preference. You can click uncheck that and just keep the original name of the file. I like to choose, you should always choose sRGB for emailing because the web, email, everything, most people are just used to sRGB. That's sort of the standard. The quality is sort of subjective, but I like to choose 90. It keeps the file size somewhat reasonable while still maintaining pretty much full quality of the file. The other thing I like to do is resize it, and that's sort of the key to getting a smaller file. You don't need a 22 megapixel JPEG being sent. You can reduce it and keep it a reasonable size so that you can fit a lot of photos in one email. So that being said, here I have a setting right in here which is really specific to the iPad with the Retina display. So if your audience is, let's say, grandparents, parents, friends, family, whatever, that are going to be looking at this on an iPad, a newer iPad, this is a great way to go because this will give them the best viewing experience for the photo that you're sending them. So in the case of the iPad 3, the longest side of the iPad 3 is 2048 pixels, and the resolution for pixels per inch is 264. In the original iPad and the iPad 2, the ones that were prior to the Retina display, they were basically half of this, so there was 1024 pixels and 132 pixels per inch. This value works out pretty well though because it keeps the file size pretty reasonable, and it's going to look good on the iPad 3, it's going to look good on a computer, it's going to look good on an iPhone, whatever the case is. The other thing you want to do is sharpen the output, and the reason for that is because the file is actually getting reduced. Even though you've sharpened the file for in your process of developing the photo, you're then taking that larger photo and reducing it, and so now you want to sharpen the reduced version of it, and that's what this is doing right here. I tend to choose low because I think the photos are fairly sharp anyway, and with all the resolution they're going to show fairly well. You could also choose standard. It's just sort of a preference, what you think comes out the best. The other thing you can choose is how much metadata is being included in the file. I like to include it all. I want people to see, if they ever had that file, they've got my copyright in it. So, but you can strip out some of it and just have just the copyright. All is going to include everything: the camera model, the serial number of the camera, everything. It's going to have quite a bit of information. And then you can choose whether you want to watermark it or not. In this case, I'm not going to watermark it. I'm sending it to family and friends, so they don't need a watermarked photo. So once you've got those settings set, what you want to do is create a preset for those settings. So you click Add, and you can say that, then you can rename it to something that makes sense. So let's say I'm going to JPEG email iPad 3 size, and I'm going to save it in my user presets. So now that will get created on the left in the panel here, and you can see I've got it right there. Now the next step is just to go ahead and use that preset and click export. So what it's going to do is export that file, and then you can type in your email address to whoever. and then you can go ahead and click send, and it sends an email with that file in it. And that's how to create an export preset for emailing photos.